This is going to be my reaction video to the Colts 22-19 win in Baltimore in Week 3. Really difficult game to watch as a Ravens fan and someone who tries to evaluate the film as it comes out. I'm going to give you some summary points first. Look, the Colts were clearly the best front six or front seven that we have faced. 4 sacks. They matched our defense for much of the game. Some of their wins up front in pass rush or against the run showed a level of physicality that looked like a Ravens defense, looked like our Ravens defense that we trust out there today. So have to give them credit up front. They played extremely well, I think. Our defense, look, defensively for us, everyone we put out there was playing with incredible effort. Down 3 of our starting defensive backs. Geno Stone gets hurt, during the game. Ojabo goes down early. Those guys balled out. Those guys played with incredible effort. And competed on every snap. So there's nothing to be ashamed of, even though, there were situations where we got beat. Michael Pittman's catch over the top of Stevens and Stone was, a beautiful thrown ball by Minshew and unbelievable timing by Pittman to go get it. But some of those things that happened was just guys making plays. I have issues with some of the things we were doing defending the run game to the boundary, but for the most part, the defense was locked down and kept up with the Colts. First, Kyle Hamilton. That was a game for the ages. For his age, I think he's 22. I could be wrong. 9 tackles, I think 7 solos, 3 sacks. Apparently, he had 2 other quarterback hits. I don't remember them. As impressive as those plays were, he had a pass defense that he knocked down in the backfield on a blitz. Those were, that was just sick plays. One of the speed outs that Josh Downs runs, he gets 5 yards out of it, maybe 4. But Kyle Hamilton's out there at 6'4", 225, 230. And Josh Downs is a hell of a football player. You can see the ability that's there today. And I thought that was impressive too. Hamilton, I think, did a lot of things well. Let's get this out of the way also. The 4th and 3 there to finish the game from the Ravens standpoint offensively, that's a pass interference call. Or a hold, whatever you want to call it. That's obvious. Lamar's not wrong, that you see the picture of him looking up at the scoreboard, holding his arms out in the air. That's a pass interference. And in this day and age, the way the game is officiated, it is very surprising that it was not called. It opens the referees up for people to say whatever they want to say, be it a Ravens fan or whatever. I don't do those things because, refs are bad. I've been around referees. It's just like a lot of people. There's a lot of good people and there's some really bad ones. There's a lot of really good refs. There's a lot of good refs. There's some really, really, really good ones. And then there's some bad ones. And I don't know who it was that missed the call or didn't throw the flag, but it was clearly a DPI if you ask me. But we got ourselves to blame. Offensively, we were incredibly inconsistent. How do you quantify? I'm going to let some of the stats run, and I hope these are not too small for you guys. We have ourselves to blame offensively. We were so inconsistent. How do you quantify this? The first possession, the pass game looks unreal. It looked unreal. The timing, spreading the ball around by memory, and I'll go over the first possession here in a moment. Andrews, Flowers, Bateman, and Likely all had catches on that drive. Then Lamar caps it with what looks like QB counter read to me, being run into the boundary. Monken attacks to the boundary. We've said that for weeks on this channel and other channels as well. QB counter read is being run into the boundary away from the nickel defender. That's sick. It's evil by Monken. Some of those things I think we're doing well in terms of where we're running it. Second possession, after the defense gets a stop. Andrews 20 yards on a catch, and then Drake on a screen. He's got 30, and it's that effort by the Colts. Talked about it in the preview, I think Sunday morning, that they give incredible effort. I showed the play of Ebukam, number 52, almost forcing a fumble by Travis Etienne against the Jags on a 3rd and 12, coming from behind, and great effort. And I mentioned that specifically because that type of effort seemed to show up across the board with the Colts, and Julius Brents did that today. Then we just crumble. Offensively, we crumble. That's the thing that's crazy here. The first and second drive, we look like a totally different team. Confidence level, high. Execution level, ball getting out, high. And then it seems like the Colts, started to figure some things out or give us different looks. I don't know. We don't get the all-22 during the game, thankfully, because then that allows us to use it as content creators. We can't use the broadcast angle, and we just crumble. We look like a balloon that had been popped. After that, here you go, third possession, 3 and out, sack and a fumble. We have to punt. The Colts tie it on a long drive, 7-all. The wheel route by Zach Moss beats Queen. Kind of a unique throw in terms of the trajectory. I didn't think it was going to be caught, but then it ended up kind of like coming down, So and then Queen was beat. Fourth possession offensively for us, another fumble on a sack, possibly tuck rule. I still don't understand the tuck rule for real, and it's been 22 years since it was first introduced, and I still don't understand it. But in any case, Colts go up 10-7 on a short field. Our fifth possession, 3 and out punt. Remember, the ball was snapped early on a 3rd and 10, and then Lamar ends up having to take a sack to recover it. This has happened a couple of times with Linderbaum also last year. So I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. We're just, at that point, we're imploding offensively. Now, we could say, look, we have a lot of injuries, 2 injuries to the offensive line. OBJ didn't play. JK's out for the year. Justice Hill was out. Gus gets hurt during the game at some point. So there's a lot of injuries, a lot of people missing. But those 3 possessions, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, that's about as worse as I've ever seen us offensively since I've started trying to do this as a YouTube channel. So, and then when you compare that to the first 2 possessions where we're just rolling, what changed? I don't know. We don't get the coverage angles during the broadcast. Obviously we just get the broadcast angle where they want to show us stats and show us the up close of a coach or a receiver or whatever. And I'm sometimes, I don't know about you, I'm sitting there like waiting, like, please, can you show me the down and distance? Or would you give me the yard line maybe in the bottom right corner of the screen because I'm tracking all that data, which I'll show in a minute. That to me is indicative of we don't have an identity. We do have a bunch of things that we do well at times. Clearly, we do. We've hit big plays. But what is our identity? Maybe it's difficult to have an identity with so many players out. I'll accept that, no problem. But then how come we were able to do it on the first 2 possessions so quickly? And then the next 3 possessions, we looked like a totally different group of guys. We looked like dudes who just showed up to the playground to play basketball together and don't know how to play together, don't know where people are moving. Everything looked wrong the 3rd, 4th, and 5th possession, and I have no idea why. Rewinding a little bit to talk about that first possession, how impressive it was. Here's the rundown, down distance, yard, personnel. If you watch my game reviews or reaction videos, you know what you're getting here in terms of the data I'm trying to give you. The QB counter read to Lamar on 2nd and 6, I thought was a brilliant call from the 8-yard line. We can score there. We can get close, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. The give to Gus on the 1st and 10 from the 46, I thought was a big moment. Because we started to get, it was a short gain, don't get me wrong, but we started to get Gus involved. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of when we have Lamar used as a runner, and it can be really devastating at times. But we have to have some balance. There seemed to be moments today where things were out of balance. And I can't exactly remember when it was. Maybe it was the 3rd, 4th, 5th possession. This possession here, I thought there was balance. Getting the ball to Bateman on a speed out. There was a draw to Gus on the 3rd play. It was like, come on, it's spread Ram under center. Like, how does the defense not know that it's draw? That's going back to last year. It's like 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 9 at this point in terms of tracking it last year and then this year. If it was the fake smoke screen or hitch out to the X to the left and then the draw. Last week it was the fake draw and then hitting Andrews in the right flats to the boundary late. You guys may remember me talking about it in Sunday morning's preview. We had a 9-yard completion to Flowers on this possession. And then Bateman for 7, like I said, on the speed out. 11 yards to Likely on a 2nd and 9. A 1-back power to Gus, which I thought was a good gain where the O-line started to get some surge. You started to see some push. And then we finish it off with Lamar for 8-yard touchdown run. I thought that was a brilliant drive, spreading the ball around, getting many people involved. I don't exactly remember how many plays here were to the boundary. And then in the midst of this, our defense is getting stops. Hamilton gets a sack, on 3rd and 7 on the Colts' 2nd possession. We get the ball, and we're rolling. 20 yards to Andrews. Drake on what looked like maybe a one-man screen. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Or maybe it was just late out of the backfield. And unfortunately, we fumble. Great effort by Julius Brents, a talented guy from Kansas State. And then they're able to get the ball. The Colts, I think that's their third possession. And we're able to get a stop, thankfully. So it looks like it's not going to hurt us. And then we are in the middle of an offensive implosion, like I've talked about. Third, fourth, fifth possession, where nothing is happening. And then the next thing you know, by the time we get to the sixth possession, we're down 10-7. That is a scary dynamic. We don't normally lose games like this. I don't think. When Lamar's on the field and we've got chances to win it, it doesn't seem like we lose games like this. And maybe I'm just not remembering certain games where we have. When I say like this, here's what I mean. Tucker has a chance to win it. 61 yards is a long field goal. It ends up short. Okay. Maybe he got underneath of it a little bit, like one of the announcers said. I'm a big fan of James Lofton, I'll be honest with you. I find James Lofton to be really impartial as an announcer and someone who just reports on the game. I kind of wish sometimes people would let him talk more. For those of you that don't know, James Lofton played for the Buffalo Bills. And before that, I think he played for the Raiders, but I could be wrong there. Played for the Buffalo Bills during their run of 4 Super Bowl losses. I was a huge Bills fan, so maybe it's my own affection for that team. I was a Bills fan at that time, and seeing James Lofton get a chance to announce, I wish people would just let him talk some. But in any case, we don't lose games like this when Tucker has a chance to win it. Or Duve we get an incredible special teams play in overtime, and then we can't get a first down. There's a really poor play call on that possession. It's a 2nd and 6. We've just ran for 4 yards with Gordon, and I thought Gordon ran hard today. We've got Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Did Rashad Bateman get hurt? Did I hear the announcer say that? I hope I'm wrong. We got Nelson Aguilar, and we go wham trap to Gordon for no gain on that 2nd and 6. I thought that was a really bad play call by Monken. I don't really like the phrase or the saying, read the room, but read the room there, man. Like, we're going to win this game with Lamar or Andrews or Zay, or somebody else, some complimentary player. For me, I thought that was a really bad play call. But overall, credit the Colts defense, for real. We'll let some of the stats flow through here again before I talk about the Ravens' 9th possession, which was their 2nd of the third quarter. Credit the Colts defense. They compete. They tackle. We knew that. Or you knew that if you watched the preview video Sunday morning. They play with incredible effort. At halftime, they deserved a 10-7 lead. They did, because of how poorly we played offensively for 3 possessions in a row. However, as the third quarter starts to play out, I really thought we were going to pull this one out. Again, credit to Colts. They deserved the win, but I thought the Ravens were going to pull this out. With the defense got 2 stops to open the third quarter, which I thought was huge, because there was a moment there where I felt like the system the Colts were running was working, and Minshew can execute it. Once again, we talked about that in the preview video. And then we come out on our 9th possession and make a statement. That run play to Moss, a couple other concepts, they hurt us big time. But we had multiple concepts working on this drive. And at that point, I thought we go down, take a 14-13 lead. We go QB counter read on the first play, 13 yards, into the boundary. Screen to Flowers for 4, another one complete to Flowers for 4, sets up a 4 or 5, sets up a 3rd and 1. And when Gus starts going downhill on this 3rd and 1 for 10 yards, that to me was a moment where I was like, okay, let's find a little bit of identity here. Gus and Gordon totaled 19 yards on our next 2 plays. And then a beautiful play by Lamar, I thought. 1st and 10 on the Colts 30. It's the 4th one from the bottom, if you're looking at this. We go sniffer, so I think Ricard is in front of Gordon on the same side. Lamar's in the shotgun. Play action. Gordon slips out. Lamar hits him for an 11-yard gain. I thought that was amazing. Aguilar seems to be a guy to me who on 3rd downs or 2nd and long, you can see the 2nd and 12 from the 17. Aguilar seems to be a guy that Lamar looks for, and I feel like he's got to get more opportunities to be on the field. I'm all for Zay Flowers getting the ball a lot. I think we all are. But there's something about Nelson Aguilar, if you ask me. I did see that he came off the field after one of the plays, so hopefully he wasn't hurt. But that 11-yard catch put us in position here to score on another keeper by Lamar. out of the shotgun. Flex is 2 receivers to the right, 2 receivers to the left, quarterback in the shotgun. That's what we would call flex. Hopefully you don't hear my children hollering downstairs. But a 5-yard touchdown puts us up 14-13. I don't know about you. At that point, I'm thinking, we've got a great chance to win here. And then the Colts are able to answer multiple times. They answered us twice. They come down with a clutch drive to get it to 16-13. We match it on the 10th possession. Tucker from 50 yards makes it 17-16. On that drive, there was a big completion from Lamar to Aguilar on a 3rd and 8 that I think got us 6 yards, put us in position for that 50-yarder. Let some stats flow through here. About 7:30 left in the fourth. The defense gets a stop. I don't know about you. I'm thinking we've got a great chance to win this thing here. Offense gets to midfield, and this seems to be something that's happening often. A late blitz is getting pressure on us in key moments. Now, I don't know if that's Lamar's fault, Monken's fault, the O-line's fault, the center, whoever's supposed to make the calls. It could be a combination of all 3 of those. But the point is teams are blitzing us late, meaning they're not showing it. Think of Jalen Petre in week 1, walking up off the weak side and blitzing twice. Free blitzer, free runner to Lamar. Teams are doing that. Maybe our protection is set. And again, I don't know who's to blame specifically, but probably a mixture of all 3. And we end up having to punt. I think the punt rolls out at the 2 with, I forget how much time remaining. And then we get the sack, or a sack in the end zone, safety, whatever. Look, there's 2 holds on that in that sequence there that weren't called. Watch Justin Madubuike get held. I mean, he's literally turned around, and the right tackle, I think it's the right tackle, right guard, is holding him. Horrible officiating to not call those things. Imagine Minshew gets that pass off like he did the play before when there was a hold not called, and we don't get the safety. We're up 17-16. We get the ball back in any case. But look, some of these guys, I think, officiating, they don't want to make a call late in the game. It almost reminded me of NBA officials. They even referenced it, one of the announcers did. I'm not sure if it was Jay Feely or James Lofton, but we get a sack, strip sack safety with 2:03 left. Then this entire situation plays out in an unbelievable manner to finish the game. Zay Flowers with the fair catch, absolutely spot on by Lofton, I think, that he needs to catch the ball and run and get to the 2-minute warning. Basically, the Colts got another timeout. The 2nd and 9 call by Todd Monken, I don't understand it. It's 2nd and 9, and we go 22 jumbo. We bring Falele on the field. We get in the eye. I could have swore we were going to boot with Lamar. And the Colts stacked the box, looked like a 6-2 look in the box. We haven't run the boot yet off of that handoff with 22 jumbo. 22 jumbo is 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. But the second tight end is Falele as a 6th offensive lineman. He's got a report eligible. I thought that play call was terrible by Monken. Then the 3rd and 9 fast sweep to Zay Flowers. Gets 2 yards. In isolation, if you were to watch our offense today, and I'm a fan of Todd Monken and what he's doing. Clearly, I'm a fan of Lamar Jackson and all of the guys we got on offense. But if you were just to watch our offense in isolation today, you would say we're not really well organized. Or I think you would. I think you would say, who are you? What is your offense? Because we were trying to be so many different things at different times. And I think I even said this last week after the win over the Bengals. Going unbalanced, the 6th offensive lineman, there is a law of diminishing returns, meaning NFL defenses are going to identify it, and they're going to react to it. It surprised me and disappointed me today that we went to that a couple of times, and we thought the Colts wouldn't identify it. I mean, the defensive signal caller, whoever the captain is, I'm presuming it's 44 Franklin, he has a direct line of communication to the defensive coordinator, the green dot. Now, at a certain point, that communication gets cut off. But he will certainly tell him, hey, it's 22 jumbo, or whatever the Colts defense calls a 6th offensive lineman. They may call it heavy, whatever they call it. And he will say to him, it's 22 jumbo, 7 out of 7 run, or 6 out of 6 run, whatever. What's that telling Franklin to tell all the rest of the guys on the field? Stop the run. They don't get too long to communicate to each other, but there's a direct line of communication in terms of the technology where the DC can talk to the green dot, the defensive captain, and that to me seemed obvious that it was a poor call. And then you stack on top of it that it was on 2nd and 9, not 2nd and 2. Really confusing to me. And I understand we got to get the ball to Flowers at times. That fast sweep to Flowers got 2 yards. I didn't think that we looked great in some high pressure situations offensively. I don't know what to read into that. All right, the next Colts possession in overtime. Darby, man, he almost gets a pick six on the Colts. I guess what will be the Colts' final possession, or next to last possession, and of the fourth quarter, I should say. And then 3rd and 6, Minshew goes up top to Pierce, who has Stevens beat. Stevens is able to make a recovery. I think him and Stone, maybe it was Stone, are there to finish. The fourth quarter. We missed the 61-yarder with Tucker. I guess there's one more play for the Colts. I'm shocked at how many inconsistent elements there were to our game today. We gave up 2 big punt returns. Now, we did have a big punt return ourselves in overtime by Duve, weaving through traffic in the middle of the field. We end up with that 2nd and 6, like I said, and the wham trap call to Gordon, I think, was a poor call. Now let me expand on that. You got the 2nd and 6, which I think is a bad call to Gordon, and then the 2nd and 9 that I just talked about for a moment. That's 2 situations, 2nd and a little bit longer than you want, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 9, where our play call hasn't been good. That looks like a pattern to me, but I don't know what to extrapolate from that. 3rd and 6 on that possession, you got to mix up between Flowers and Lamar. Ball seems to be thrown behind Flowers. If we get that ball caught, we're probably in business for a great field goal opportunity. Defense goes out there and gets an unbelievable stop. Stevens and I think another safety on the 4th and 1. We just sell out to stop the run, which I love doing it sometimes. Superb effort by everybody up there. For my money, that moment was, we're going to go win this game right now. It's 19-all. We're going to go win this game right now. Likely drops a ball that Lamar puts in a perfect spot. I mean, Lamar couldn't have walked over and handed it to him in any better position in terms of where the defense was and trying to limit an opportunity for a pass defense or likely to take a big shot. I thought it was a great throw, and he drops it. It's like everybody did something today that didn't live up to our standard. Lamar, Todd Monken, all of our offensive guys, even Justin Tucker. 4th and 3 call, it's obviously a penalty like I talked about earlier. But do we have to go for it? This is going to be my last point. 3 points wins the game. So it's 4th and 3. We've got an opportunity to win the game. Fine if you say, Coach, I want to go for it and I want to get it. And it's a defensive pass interference anyway, so I understand that. But do we have to go for it? Here's the last 7 possessions for the Colts. Third quarter, fourth quarter, and overtime to this point. When we go for it on the 4th and 3 and the linebacker grabs Zay Flowers well before the ball's there, should be a penalty. Here's the last 7 possessions for the Colts. 6 plays, 19 yards, field goal to go up 13-7. They got a short field. 6 plays, 17 yards, punt. The longest extended drive they had in this sequence. 8 plays, 40 yards, field goal. Then check this out. 5 plays, punt. 3 plays, safety. 6 plays, field goal. 3 plays, punt. 6 plays, the 4th down stop that I'm talking about right before our possession, where we go for it on 4th and 3. Maybe this is me speaking as a defensive coordinator, former defensive coordinator. Did we not think our defense could get the stop? I mean, if we do punt it, we have the right to second guess everything. This, to me, looks like a situation. We had just tried to kick a 61-yarder earlier. You got 3 possible choices there. Try to kick the field goal, punt it, or go for it. Well, we tried to kick the field goal to end regulation. It didn't work. We were short on a 61-yarder. We try to go for it on the 4th and 3 in overtime, and we don't get it. We leave them the short field. The game was pretty much over there, to be honest with you. Me personally, I think there's something to be said from a defensive standpoint. Hey, we think we can get a stop. Let's punt the football and make them go from the 10, down to the 38 to get in field goal range for a 55-yarder or whatever that guy's max distance is. It's easy to second guess all of these things, but the Ravens players left it up to us to second guess. Many opportunities to close this thing out and many opportunities to get some separation, and we left a lot of plays out on the field offensively. Really rugged, inconsistent day. Monken, Lamar, all of the guys on the offensive line, they've got to answer for it. They do, and they got to try to fix it. As good as it felt to go up there and beat the Bengals last week, some of the things we did, the unbalanced stuff, the 22 jumbo stuff, you can't do that every week and have people. The film gets shared. They get the film shared. It's not like the old days in high school where you have to send somebody to go film a game. That's not the way it works now. The NFL is going to share them every angle. The Ravens' offensive tendencies are out there in terms of short yardage stuff. Really, really disappointed with the 2nd and 9 play call in the fourth quarter and the 2nd and 6 play call in overtime by Todd Monken. And I'm a fan of his for the limited amount of time he's been here. I'm glad we got him. I enjoy watching and trying to break down what he's doing, but we failed our team in those moments, if you ask me. And then players certainly didn't execute at times. You guys let me know if you're as disappointed as I am. A great opportunity to go to 3-0 against a Colts team that doesn't have Jonathan Taylor, doesn't have Anthony Richardson, and Gardner Minshew, who's a tough, gritty, smart dude. Don't get me wrong. He's going to make millions in his career being a backup quarterback and get opportunities like this to start at times. So kudos to him. I root for guys like that, except for on Sundays where they play the Ravens. But this is a great opportunity for us to get a win, and we wasted it. So for me, it feels extremely disappointing. And if this is the type of team that we're going to get 1 out of every 3 weeks, we're not going to get anywhere near where we would like for this team to go, which is a deep playoff run. You can't fumble this many times. You can't have the same blitzes get pressure on the quarterback this many times. You can't have this many drops and leave this many plays out on the field on offense. When you're playing against full strength teams, which the Colts were not today. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. It probably sounds like I'm being super critical of our offensive guys, but I think in this case we deserve it because nothing we did offensively after the second possession, really after the first possession, was indicative of a team that deserved to win. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this content, even though despite the difficult loss, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.